Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. My name's Ash. Here's today's comic, Prodigy 4. Well, Prodigy, issue number 4, by Mark Millar. You know him from Kick-Ass, Kingsman. He's written a bunch of stuff. He sold his company Millar World to Netflix. So now he pretty much just lets Netflix manage everything, and he just writes books for the purpose of being adapted into television and movies. Seems like a pretty good deal. And Prodigy is definitely a book written in that vein that it will probably be made into a movie or television show or something. It's going to be option. Netflix is going to, of course, have the rights. And obviously not everything Mark produces is going to be so. But it's kind of cool when you read these books to think, oh, this could very likely become something. And you read it and you're thinking yourself, how will this play out? Now, one thing I've noticed reading the later Mark Millar stuff is that it's not quite as good as his prime stuff, the stuff that sort of, got him to the position he's at. And part of that's to be expected. I mean, now the dude's big time millionaire, Once you've made it to the top of the mountain, you just stop climbing. Mark Millar still got talent, and I know his name's Mark Miller. I always call him Mark Millar just because the AR at the end, and everyone just knows who you're talking about, especially if you just say his last name. If you've been following along, I've had some reservations about this book, primarily because of the character and just the situations. The main character here, he's never really called the Prodigy, but this is the Prodigy. He's essentially a Gary Sue. He's just perfect in every way, and that's kind of annoying. However, it's almost like it's supposed to be that way. And I think that makes a big difference. This is a story where it's like the writer's like, I'm going to create a character who is perfect. Like, that's the point of the character. And I'm predicting as I'm reading this and I've gone through this issue that so far we've seen this character never face an actual challenge. He's the smartest guy in the world. He's a super athlete. He can do everything. And this book actually goes into his... How do I say this? This book actually explores his abilities more to show that he's not just super intelligent. Like, his mind works in a superhuman way. He's literally has multiple minds within his mind, if that makes sense. We'll cover this. One thing I don't like about this book is that it's kind of simplistic and it's just written to be like, make this into a movie. It doesn't have the depth that I think it would have if this were an earlier project of his. And because of the Gary Sue issues, like I said, which I overlook, I give a pass. I don't want to say I give a pass, but I forgive because it's like I said, it's intentional. It's not. It's just it's like a rare exception, I guess, that where you can do a character like this and have it kind of work. And like I said, I have a feeling he's being set up for a fall, to where he finally will have his first crisis and failure as it goes. So where we last left the characters, they were trying to make some money. They needed like $2 million something. He goes to find his high roller gamblers to make the money. And of course, here we are in Damascus. Well, look what the cat dragged in. Can I just say you're looking great, Dominique? Don't try to be charming, Edison. Last time we saw each other, You put my father in jail for 16 life sentences. Well, to be fair, the man was seeking to sell some terrorists a nuclear submarine. Some of us can overlook our parents' flaws. He also masterminded the Peshawar massacre and was wanted in 27 countries. Still, he never forgot a birthday and had a tremendous singing voice. I don't know why, but I thought this banter was kind of funny. It kind of reminded me of Whedon a little bit, like the way Joss Whedon does if you watch Firefly. I don't know if it's just kind of this setting here, but this sounded like something the characters would have, and I thought it was kind of just the right amount of wit and banter. Now I'm not going to go through and spoil the book like I normally do. I've reviewed other issues in the series. This is a pretty good book, and if you like the first three, you're going to like this one. It carries the story over. It's got the same tone. It's advancing the plot. I don't know how many issues this is going to be, and that kind of annoys me. But I like that I don't really, I can't say that I don't really care. I like that it doesn't really matter. I'm in it. I'm invested. The first two issues I wasn't quite sure, and then by the third issue I decided, you know what? I'm just going to kind of forgive the flaws of this book and just jump in the deep end and just say, take me along for the ride. And I cover those thoughts in those previous reviews if you want to know more. I like the mythos that Mark is building here. There's these two worlds. Well, there's Earth, and then there's an alternate Earth. And what's happening is the alternate Earth is trying to invade this Earth, which what I'll call our Earth. And these guys are trying to make it happen. They're this cult. And we don't necessarily know why yet. Part of me, what I like about this book is the speculation. And I feel like this story might be a way for Mark to unify his various series. Because he writes some books where there's like superhuman abilities and characters are essentially, superhuman. This book is also kind of a superhuman thing. I don't know. I'm wondering if he's using this whole storyline as a way of pulling all of his characters into a shared universe, if you will. So you can see, I'm not a huge fan of Ralph Albuquerque's art, but he's a popular enough artist that I think, at this point you're going to know if he's for you or not. What I can say about this book is if you like high adventure, this book is it's kind of like Indiana Jones meets, it's kind of like if Will Smith was an Indiana Jones. It has sort of that level of snark that Will Smith has in a lot of his films, like Men in Black or Independence Day. I could definitely see Will Smith being cast to play this character, obviously because of that. But it has sort of that high adventure, the way Indiana Jones gave us. Over-the-top stuff. And like I said, one of the things I could do about this book is, I forgive its faults because it allows you to have this ridiculous adventure. There's this part where, they need to get to this airport. But it's an ISIS-controlled airport, and the U.S. military is going to bomb it. And it's a 3-hour drive away, and they're going to bomb it in 60 minutes. So he's like, 60 minutes for a 3-hour drive? He's like, tell him I need a plane, and I've got $2 million here. They just won from gambling. And it's all his if he picks us up now. So, of course, plane shows up, drops a ladder, they jump on, and it's just, so good luck, sir. And now they're flying away. And the whole book and the whole series so far is just full of this stuff. And so now the Air Force or whatever is coming, to bomb the thing. And it's like, we got to stop them. They're not going to make it in time. So he's like asking, do they have a Gatling gun? Which at first he's like thinking about it, and you're like, oh my god, are they gonna try to engage this jet? Like what the? And then he actually doesn't. He decides it's probably a bad idea, but he's got a different idea, and that's to jump out of the plane after the bomb. So now he's grabs the bomb and he's defusing it while it's coming down, and it's just this whole series is full of ridiculous stuff. It's like I said, it's Indiana Jones set in a modern time with ridiculous, over the top type of action. It almost reminds me, if you've seen one of my favorite action movies of all time is True Lies by James Cameron. And if you've seen that film, the ridiculous nature of that, where it's just you just have to kind of put your mind in a separate spot and say, like, I'm going to suspend all disbelief and just go along. It's not realistic at all, but it's damn fun. And this book kind of captures that. So that's really it. Like I said, I kind of did flip through the pages so you could see the art and stuff, but I didn't want to just go through and narrate the story. Here's different Mark Millar books, some of you might be familiar with, and if you're not, you really should check them out. Look at this. Sean Gordon Murphy. I just recently discovered, I was like, Sean Gordon Murphy of Batman White Knight fame did a book with Mark Millar? So I picked it up, haven't read it yet. Mark Millar worked with Greg Capullo. Look at that. Nemesis is really cool. It's like, imagine Batman as a bad guy. Anyways, here's the next issue. Oh, it's a pretty wicked issue. It's a good book. It's fun. I highly recommend. I don't say I highly recommend it. I recommend it if everything that I described about it, that sort of high daring adventure with sort of over the top action and that snarky kind of Will Smith like movie humor. If you like all of that together, and you're interested in a story that's going to, like, a plot line that's keeping you guessing, and you're like wondering how they're going to solve this, what's going on, why is this happening, Mark's weaving a pretty decent tale. It's not his best, but he's such a talented writer that even when he's just sort of like, yeah, like, it's still way better than most stuff, and you can see why he's achieved the level that he's achieved. So that's it. Thumbs up on that one. So recommend. Hope you enjoy. If you do get this book because of my recommendations or not, whatever, post it on Twitter. Move the needle. We gotta recommend and keep the industry alive through word of mouth and buying the good quality books that are worth buying, so that the industry, the creators of the industry and the publishers of the industry understand what kind of material they should be making. Stop buying the crap. Reward the good. Post your comments below. Like and subscribe. If you feel like throwing a buck my way, I got a Patreon account. All the information you can find below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.